Before I begin, I want to clarify that the following stories have been shared by individuals who claim these events happened to them. Names and some minor details may have been changed to protect privacy. Please use caution when booking vacation rentals and always prioritize your safety. These 3 stories serve as chilling reminders that sometimes the most terrifying situations occur not in abandoned buildings or dark forests, but in places deliberately designed to make you feel at home. My name is Elise. I'm a 22-year-old psychology major with long auburn hair and what my friends call a perpetually worried expression. I've always been the cautious one in my friend group, the one who checks that doors are locked twice and researches neighborhoods before visiting. My friends, Rachel, Madison, and Tara, often tease me about my careful nature. Rachel is the bold one, with her bleached blonde pixie cut and spontaneous decision-making. Madison is our tech expert, always with the latest gadgets. And Tara is the free spirit, her dark curly hair often adorned with flowers or beads. Last summer, the 4 of us decided to take a weekend trip to a small coastal town called Pine Harbor, about 3 hours from our university. It was early June, just after finals, and the weather was perfect, warm enough for swimming but not yet humid and oppressive. The town was known for its picturesque lighthouse, local seafood restaurants, and uncrowded beaches dotted with smooth stones and driftwood. We were all on tight budgets after the school year, so we opted for an Airbnb instead of a hotel. After browsing listings for hours, we found what seemed like the perfect place, a charming 2-bedroom cottage with weathered blue siding and white trim, surrounded by hydrangea bushes and just 3 blocks from the shoreline. The interior photos showed cozy rooms with nautical-themed decor, hardwood floors, and large windows that let in plenty of natural light. The reviews were stellar, 43 5-star ratings and only 2 4-star ratings. At $45 per person per night, it seemed like a steal. The host, Michael, was incredibly responsive and helpful. From his profile picture, he appeared to be in his mid-30s, with neatly trimmed brown hair and glasses, giving off a professional vibe. His bio mentioned he was a local real estate agent who enjoyed hiking and photography. He had been an Airbnb superhost for 2 years running. Michael sent us detailed check-in instructions and even recommended some local restaurants and attractions. Everything seemed normal at first. When we arrived, the place looked exactly like the photos. The cottage sat at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac, with a small gravel driveway and a wooden porch swing gently moving in the coastal breeze. Inside, the air smelled of cinnamon and vanilla, with a hint of sea salt. The living room featured a comfortable-looking sectional sofa facing a stone fireplace, with large windows overlooking a small garden. The kitchen was modest but updated, with subway tile backsplash and stainless steel appliances. We were thrilled and immediately started unpacking and settling in, claiming our spaces and planning our beach day for tomorrow. That evening, Rachel, one of my friends, was charging her phone in the bedroom when she noticed something odd about the digital alarm clock on the nightstand. The clock seemed slightly bulkier than a standard model, and there was what looked like a tiny pinhole on the front. "Guys, does this look weird to you?" Rachel asked, pointing at the clock. We all gathered around to examine it. Madison, who was majoring in computer science, carefully picked up the clock and examined it more closely. "I think there's a camera in this," she said quietly, turning it over in her hands. A chill ran down my spine. Madison found a small SD card slot on the back of the clock, confirming our fears. This wasn't just a clock, it was a hidden camera, positioned directly at the bed where 2 of us were planning to sleep. Disturbed, we began inspecting the entire cottage. In the bathroom, we found another hidden camera disguised as a smoke detector, positioned right above the shower. In the living room, we discovered a 3rd camera, hidden in a small decorative picture frame on the bookshelf. We were completely shaken. These cameras had been strategically placed to capture the most private areas of the house. Who knows how many guests had been recorded before us? With trembling hands, I called Airbnb's customer service while my friends packed our things. The representative was horrified and immediately began the process of finding us alternative accommodations. They also promised to launch an investigation. Later, we learned that Michael had been hosting for over 2 years with dozens of positive reviews. Police were involved, and they found hundreds of recordings of previous guests on his computer. He was charged with multiple counts of invasion of privacy. What terrifies me most is how normal everything seemed. The host was friendly. The place looked exactly like the pictures, and the reviews were stellar. If Rachel hadn't noticed that tiny pinhole, we would have never known we were being watched. I still use Airbnb occasionally, but now I meticulously check for hidden cameras whenever I stay somewhere new. It's disturbing to think about how vulnerable you can be in someone else's space. I'm Jamie, 29, a software developer with a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow and dark circles under my eyes from too many late nights coding. My girlfriend Vanessa is the opposite, a yoga instructor with boundless energy, bright hazel eyes, and a smile that can light up a room. We'd been dating for 2 years and tried to take weekend trips every few months to break the monotony of city life and my demanding job. This particular weekend, we'd chosen to visit Burlington, a city known for its historic architecture and vibrant art scene. The weather forecast predicted rain all weekend, perfect for exploring museums, trying new restaurants, and enjoying the cozy atmosphere of wherever we were staying. We booked an Airbnb in the city's historic district, a Victorian-style home built in the 1890s with original stained glass windows, intricate woodwork, and a wraparound porch. The house stood 3 stories tall, painted a deep burgundy with cream and forest green trim, its steep roof punctuated by 2 dormer windows that resembled watchful eyes. Massive oak trees flanked the property, their gnarled branches casting elaborate shadows across the facade. The listing described it as entirely private and showcased photos of elegant rooms with high ceilings, antique furniture, and modern amenities cleverly integrated into the historic setting. The host, Sarah, was a woman in her early 40s with shoulder-length blonde hair and a warm smile in her profile picture. Her bio stated she was an interior designer who had lovingly restored the old home. She mentioned she lived next door in a similar Victorian and would be available if we needed anything, which seemed convenient. Our first night was peaceful. The house was gorgeous, with original hardwood floors, decorative moldings, and antique furniture. We went out to dinner, came back, and fell asleep without incident. The second night, around 2 a.m., I woke up to what sounded like footsteps coming from above us. This was strange because we were on the top floor of the 2-story house. I nudged my girlfriend awake, and we both lay there listening. Thump, thump, thump. It was definitely footsteps, moving from one end of the attic to the other. My girlfriend whispered, "Maybe it's just the house settling?" But we both knew that wasn't it. I grabbed my phone and texted Sarah, not expecting a reply until morning. To my surprise, she responded immediately, "There is no attic access from inside the house. Get out now. I'm calling the police." My blood ran cold. We jumped out of bed, grabbed our essential belongings, and rushed to the front door. As we fumbled with the locks, we heard a door creak open somewhere in the house, followed by heavy footsteps on the stairs. We finally got the door open and ran to our car. As we pulled away, I saw a figure standing in the doorway of the house, watching us leave. The police arrived minutes later. They found a man living in the basement of the house, a basement that wasn't mentioned in the listing and that we didn't even know existed. There was a hidden staircase behind a false wall in a closet that led down to his living space, and another set of stairs that led up to a small attic. The man turned out to be Sarah's ex-husband, who had been legally barred from the property after their divorce. He had somehow made a copy of the keys and had been living in the basement for months, coming and going when the house was vacant between guests. Sarah was horrified and completely unaware. She had been managing the property remotely for the past few months and hadn't physically checked the basement in a long time. What makes this story even more disturbing is what the police found in the basement: notebooks filled with detailed observations of guests' routines, personal items that had gone missing from multiple guests over the months, and photos taken of people while they slept. We learned later that several guests had reported strange occurrences, missing items, doors left open that they were sure they had closed, the feeling of being watched but no one had ever spotted him. I can't help but wonder what would have happened if Sarah hadn't responded to my text immediately, or if we had stayed in that house even a minute longer. My name is Marcus. I'm a 34-year-old pharmaceutical sales representative with close-cropped black hair starting to gray at the temples, despite my best efforts with expensive shampoos. I travel frequently for work, at least twice a month, and consider myself a savvy traveler who knows all the tricks for smooth business trips. I've stayed in hundreds of hotels and dozens of short-term rentals across the country, and I pride myself on being able to spot a bad deal or a sketchy situation from a mile away. Last year in October, I needed to stay in Chicago for a 3-day medical conference. The city was unusually busy. Not only was my conference bringing in over 50 attendees, but there was also a major tech summit and a popular band playing 3 consecutive nights at the United Center. The perfect storm of events had driven hotel prices through the roof, with even mediocre chain hotels charging over $350 per night. After my company balked at the expense report I'd submitted for pre-approval, I turned to Airbnb. The options were limited given the citywide demand, but after sifting through dozens of listings, I found what seemed to be a decent option, a modern one-bedroom apartment in River North, a vibrant neighborhood known for its restaurant scene and proximity to the magnificent Mile. The high-rise building featured floor-to-ceiling windows with skyline views, a sleek kitchen with granite countertops, and minimalist furnishings in grays and blues. At $175 per night, it was still pricey, but significantly cheaper than the hotels. The host, David, had a profile picture of a smiling man in his early 30s with a neatly trimmed beard, wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap on what looked like a hiking trail. His bio was sparse, just mentioned that he was a Chicago native who loved showing off the best city in the world. He had 7 reviews, all positive, though none were very detailed. Most just mentioned that the place was clean, and as described. David messaged me that he would be out of town during my stay, so he had arranged for his neighbor Eric to give me the keys. He provided Eric's phone number and told me to contact him when I arrived. My flight landed at night, and I took a taxi to the address. It was in a large apartment complex in what seemed like a decent area. I called Eric, who said he'd meet me at the entrance in 5 minutes. A friendly man in his 30s showed up, introduced himself as Eric, and handed me the keys. He led me to the apartment, unlocked the door, and gave me a quick tour. Everything looked good, similar to the photos, but slightly less polished. Eric left, and I settled in for the night. The next morning, I was awakened by a loud banging on the door. Half asleep, I opened it to find a middle-aged woman staring at me in shock. "Who are you? And what are you doing in my apartment?" she demanded. Confused, I explained that I had rented the place through Airbnb. "This apartment isn't on Airbnb," she said firmly. "I've lived here for 3 years, and I certainly didn't rent it to anyone. I just returned from a business trip." I showed her the listing on my phone and the messages from David. She had never heard of him, and the photos in the listing, while similar, were clearly not of her apartment. They had been carefully staged to look like it. It turned out that Eric was not a neighbor but a scammer who had somehow obtained a copy of her keys. He had created a fake listing using photos of a similar apartment and had been renting out her place when he knew she was away. The woman called the police, who took our statements. They told us that this scam had been happening in several buildings in the area. The scammers would observe residents' patterns, figure out when they were away, and then list their apartments on short-term rental sites. What horrifies me most about this experience is the violation of both our trusts. This woman came home to find a stranger in her apartment with access to all her personal belongings, and I had unknowingly been made an accomplice in breaking into someone's home. The police advised me to stay in a hotel for the remaining days. Airbnb refunded my payment and offered compensation for the hotel costs, but the experience left me deeply unsettled. I can't help but wonder how many other travelers and homeowners have been victims of similar scams. Whenever I use vacation rentals now, I insist on meeting the actual property owner or verifying the listing through multiple channels. I've also started taking screenshots of my communications with hosts and the original listings, just in case. Remember, while these stories highlight some of the risks of using home-sharing services, they represent extreme cases. Most Airbnb experiences are safe and enjoyable. However, it's always wise to take precautions. Research the host thoroughly. Read all reviews carefully. Inform someone of your whereabouts. And trust your instincts if something feels wrong. If you enjoyed these stories, remember to like and subscribe for more disturbing true stories.